Welcome to the Bill Cartwright Show. I'm really very, very pleased to have a University of Texas Hall of Honor, WNBA player, Sacramento Sports Hall of Fame, Danielle Viglione. Very, very pleased that you're on the show. Now, wait a minute. Now, you just married recently. So how should we introduce you?
No, it's Danielle Viglione. It's fine. He's good with that. He's pretty secure, so he's good. Yeah. It's too hard to change your name at, 45 years old. So, if you're 20, it's a little easier, but everybody knows me by Viglione. They'd hear Royal. I mean, even Royal is a good name. Sterling Royal. That's why I married him, for his name. But even though that's a great name, it's just easier to keep my name.
So let's talk about you in that. Now, I'm assuming, and I've read a little bit about this, when you were young, you were really a sports girl.
You could say that.
So, and I think I read a little bit about you would participate a lot, play a lot with your brother. Is that right?
Yes. I don't know if you want to hear all the stories, but I used to live in Michigan, grew up in Michigan until I was 10 years old. My brother's 2 years younger. My sister's 8 years younger, but she wasn't in the picture yet too much. So we had a neighborhood boys. We lived in the country. So we had 2 older boys next door and then my brother. So I was with 3 boys all the time. And I didn't even know you could play women's college ball until my aunt took me to a Michigan State game. And I said, oh, women play too? Wow. Because I just knew boys. I just played with the boys, ran up and down. I just wanted to beat them. That's all I wanted to do. I was just competitive. Even if we were running, I played baseball. I wanted to sprint. I wanted to beat them in the races around the field, whatever it was. I just wanted to compete. And my brother and I would get in fights all the time because I'd run into the house. I beat Stephen. And then he'd tackle me. So that's how I grew up. And they had a court at the neighborhood across the street, not neighborhood, but house across the street. And I would just go and shoot in their basket when they weren't home. I'd trespass. So they knew I was doing it, but I'd just go get my shots up even at 8, 9, 10 years old. So.
Now like you, I had a really close relationship with my high school coach. Talk about him and talk about Del Campo.
Well, Del Campo was amazing. I asked him one day, why did you want to spend all those hours with me? Because he tagged it outside of practice, not weights, not team practice. I spent in that Del Campo gym 3,000 hours, a little over 3,000 hours by myself. Now, don't ask me how he did that, but that's what he says to this day, 3,000 hours on my own. He would go and he'd open the gym at 5 a.m. And the first year I was there, he could work with me. So we would work on my shot. We would work on everything. And then the next year you couldn't be in the gym, but certain hours with the kids. So he would go and sleep on around the corner. He would just open the gym for me, go and sleep around the corner. And I used to make fun of him. I said, oh, you're going to go sleep? And he said, yeah, go do 200 shots here. Go do this. He'd tell me what to do. I'd do it, of course. And that was just my personality. Spent sometimes on Saturdays, would open the gym for me for 3 hours. I mean, I'd be in there for 3 hours just working on my shot, working on ball handling, working on footwork, working on finishing. Mostly my shot, though. That's, I guess, what I'm known for.
So talking about, you guys had pretty good teams when you were there, right? At Del Campo.
Del Campo, yeah. We went to the my junior year was probably the best year. We had 3 go Division I, Pepperdine, Sac State, and Humboldt. One girl went to Humboldt. So those were our starting 4, but we didn't have a big. I was the tallest. Sarah was just my height, and so we didn't really have a big. We were all 5'10", 5'8". And so if we would have had the Dostie twins who came right after I graduated, they were in 8th grade when I was a senior, we would have won state, hands down. But it was just 1 year. My parents should have waited. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, to go back to Paul, I didn't really answer that. So I asked him after my career, I said, what made you want to work with me so much? And he said, I just saw a desire in you I've never seen before to be better. And I saw you at a Sac State camp And when I was helping with the Sac State camp, you were in line doing everything before you even it was your turn. So I was doing all the footwork and pivoting over near the wall while everybody else was doing their reps. And that's how he said, I knew you were going to be good because you just wanted to learn, and you still do. And so that's what separated you. Not necessarily that I could jump the highest or run the fastest, because that's definitely not me, but I definitely put in the work.
Now you did extraordinarily well at Del Campo. Talk about that recruiting process, and why did you pick the University of Texas?
Okay. The recruiting process, I never really, people say, hey, do you want to go to college? Yeah, I want to go to college, but I was always focused on being the best I could be, because I never really let that stuff get to my head. I got my first recruiting letter mailed to Carnegie Junior High when I was in 8th grade. And I said, oh, wow. Okay. That's cool.
Wow.
No, I mean, I never even thought of it until then. I'm just playing because I love it and I'm competitive. That's why I played. And that's why I think you have to play, to compete, and because you love it. But it was funny because I just started, you play in a BCI tournament, and I played Bethlehem BCI, now it's AAU, but I was playing between my freshman and sophomore year. And I remember we were all 5'10", and we're playing against a team that's 6'3", 6'2", 6'3", 6'2", and jump out of the gym. And I would shoot the ball, rush my shot, miss, go get my rebound, miss, go get my rebound, block shot, get my block shot back, put it back, get blocked again. I mean, that's how the game went. And so I said after that game, that was my first experience with kind of AAU. I said, if there are any coaches in the stands, I'm thinking to myself, well, I can scratch that, whoever those teams are. And it was funny because Texas was in the stands. They were assistant coach. She went back to Jody Conrad after that game, and she said, Coach Conrad, we have got to go see this girl play tomorrow. You have got to watch her. She has no fear. She would change a culture for us. And so it was kind of like when they recruited me, they said, we don't know if you're going to start or not, but the way you are, the way you work, the way you carry yourself, we think you're going to change a culture. And to hear that, wow, after playing, so what I think is bad. So I tell all these kids, not about the shots made or missed, not about getting your shot blocked or what have you, or how bad. It's how you have no fear, and you continue to play through the mistakes, and you continue to go hard. You continue to compete no matter what. Don't hang your head, run down the court. Don't make 2 mistakes twice, right? Don't shoot the ball, miss, and then hang your head, and then someone scoring you down on the other end. So that would be 2 mistakes in the row. But that's why they started recruiting me. And then it was a process, and they were just, back then they had handwritten letters. So everybody, if you get a handwritten letter, that means something, right? Or you get a phone call, that means something. Today it's, a lot of social media more so. And so I remember Jody Conrad coming and sitting in our house, and I've narrowed it down to about 3 or 4. And it was between Notre Dame, Texas, Arizona. And I had Santa Clara in there. I really liked the coach there at the time, Hertzmeyer, and Colorado. And so it basically came down between Notre Dame and Texas. When I went on my recruiting visit, it was just real. And when I went to Texas, every other school had me stay at the hotel, decorated with my jersey, and wined and dined me. In Texas, Jody Conrad said, okay, go have fun at the dorm with the other girls. You're going to stay with this girl, Erica Rout, and, just go have fun. You go to a football game. And I just got the real experience. And I just felt like that was going to be family. Right before I signed, I waited for the last night to sign. The next morning I was signing. Paul Romig, my high school coach, asked me, where would you want to be if you could never play basketball again? And I said, Texas, hands down. And so the next morning I signed with the University of Texas, and the rest is history.
Wow.
Don't regret it at all. Although the other schools were phenomenal, coached by phenomenal coaches, and phenomenal programs. But I just felt like that was going to be family. They were bringing in 5 freshmen that year, including me. So it was going to be a rebuilding year, and nobody expected us to really do anything. And I love that. I love being underdog. So
talk about your best year there at Texas, and talk about your favorite teammate. And I know it's hard because I have a ton of them, but talk about, give me a couple of them, your favorite teammates.
Favorite teammates. Oh gosh, I love all of them. And actually, most of them were at the Hall of Fame or Hall of Honor when I was inducted. They came to support me wherever they were. Um, the freshman that I came in with was a point guard who was 5'3", a post player who was 5'10", myself, another girl, and another 2 guards. Okay, that was the 5. Then rest of our team, like basically we started a 5'10" post, myself, and a 5'3" point guard, right? And they're all freshmen. And we just worked our butts off. We did kind of start a culture there, because we'd get there and we say, let's go work out at 6 a.m. because that's what we're used to. We're all used to that. So we'd bring everybody, all the older players, I think. We're like, I don't know if this is for me. But the younger players, we all went, we worked. It was awesome. And it was there was Erica Rout, who's an awesome friend today. Nikisha Henderson played in the WNBA also. Amy Smith at the time, now Amy Bradley. She was, I don't know, my favorite, because all of them are my favorites. But she was the one who introduced me to my faith, Jesus, being a Christian. And I remember I was injured my sophomore year in Texas, and I didn't have any basketball, and all I knew was basketball. All I knew was sports. All I knew was working hard at something and good things come. That was my motto. And so I started going to FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And I tell everybody, that's the best decision. To ask Jesus into my heart was the best decision I've ever made in my life. And she was the one who introduced me to him. So if I could sit with anyone today in the past, present, or future, I would definitely sit with him. I have a lot of questions. So I would say, there's a lot of favorite players, but we had so much fun. And the fun part about our team was no one was selfish. I mean, we just wanted each other to be good. We wanted to compete. We wanted to win. And we wanted everybody to do what they did best. In fact, the game that I had 11 threes, I think the 10th three, I had 10 threes. On the 11th three I shot, the 18th three I shot, I missed it, airballed it. So Coach Conrad took me, because they were trying to turn the ball over, trying to get the ball to me. Those are my teammates. They're awesome, setting screens, trying to get me open, just so I could break a record. And Jody Conrad took me out of the game, and she said, "You're gonna sit here right next to me. I can't believe you airballed that shot. If you're not gonna try to make your shots, then you can sit right here." And I was like, "What? She's saying I'm not trying? Like, that's not my personality." She said, "Okay, go back in and let me see you try." Went back in, hit the 11 3. She took me out. But that's just to say she knows how to motivate each of her players. And she did a really good job with me, because she knew that would make me mad. that would make me competitive. And so wasn't going to slack on that next 3 I took. But no, all my teammates were unselfish. It was all team ball. Everybody knew their role. And it was just an amazing experience just with everybody, especially being coached by Jody Conrad. I mean, shoot, she's like family to me today. It's amazing. And all of them are friends.
Can you talk about your senior year?
Oh gosh. You want to hear the most embarrassing moment of my senior year?
Sure, I really do.
When you said senior year, we were top 10. Okay, so we had Dick Vitale out. I mean, he's still announcing. I can't believe it. But we had Dick Vitale out there at our the first night of practice, right? Our Midnight Madness, when they did that. And so everybody's out there, guys team, girls team, and Dick is announcing it. And he comes up to me and he wants to interview me, and he goes, "Viglione, you are the best 3-point shooter in the game right now," or something like that. And I just froze. What do you say to that? I hear you have the best 3-point shot. And I go, "Yeah." And that's all I said. My teammates made fun of me forever on that. The whole year, I think. Dick Vitale, I'm on TV. And then I just go, "Yeah." So I needed to work on my interview skills after that. I mean, I didn't know. It wasn't a question. It was just a statement. So that was the most embarrassing. The other embarrassing part, there's another embarrassing part to that, is we were playing A&M. And A&M was our biggest rival back then. Texas, A&M. And so we're in the game. We're at A&M. We're down by 2. Ball goes out of bounds. I'm signaling to the ref that the ball's out of bounds. It's our ball. Our ball. Come on. And because I'm doing this, the dog is a live dog on a leash. standing there because Reveille is their mascot, a live dog. And the live dog attacks me in the middle of the game. He grabs my shorts, he tears them down, and I pull them up real fast. And like Coach Conrad did not see it. She was looking at the other and talking to the ref. And so my teammates were like, what in the heck just happened right now? So I kind of started I was like this. And Coach Conrad looked at me. She pulled me out of the game. She said, what are you doing? Why is that look on your face? Like, we're down by 2. And I said, the dog bit me. The dog literally bit me. And she's like, go sit down. And I sat down and I'm like pulling up my shorts, trying to show, and there's like a tooth mark. So it really was evidence. And so that game was on ESPN2 on that night on the bloopers. I was on the bloopers, top 10 for getting bit by a dog. And we're still trying to find that video. So if you guys can find that video, we're trying to contact A&M. I don't think they want to give it away, but I want to see that video. Those were the 2 embarrassing moments. So the senior year was fantastic. It was different than my freshman year because like we had Angie Jackson. We actually had a post player. We were top 10. We ended up losing to Notre Dame, which came down to Notre Dame in Texas for me. We lose it, and they went on to the Final Four. So Notre Dame, we lost to by 3 points the last second. And it was terrible, my senior year. Oh, but anyway, then on to the hopefully getting drafted to the WNBA, but that didn't happen. So you just keep pursuing your opportunities and things fall in place.
Well, we'll talk about that because that is, especially even with the guys, some guys have high hopes. They're going to get drafted, and then they're sitting in the room, and they're sitting there undrafted. So what happens? Talk about that.
I thought I might be, but I wasn't sure. I went to the combine. That was the first year they had the WNBA, so 1997. And I went as there was 16, I believe, college athletes invited to this combine with about, 50, 60 other players that are already playing professionally overseas or in the ABL. People like Ruthie Bolton, one of my good friends to this day, people like that, they're Olympians. And so I go in there and I stink it up. I felt like I stunk it up. But anyway, after the fact, didn't get drafted. Good experience for me, though, against the best of the best. I actually got invited to Monarchs tryout and a Utah tryout. So I went to the Monarchs tryout first, and I think that they just wanted to see who was standing at the end of the day. And whoever's standing at the end of 2 days, they will make the team. Because I think I was the only one standing. The other girl, Carissa Yason, that also made the team. It was literally, I think, 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the afternoon, and came back at night. And it was scrimmaging like the whole time, drills, scrimmaging. And I said, I'm going to keep going. And by the second day, we had morning and then afternoon, and they picked it to the top 20. And so I ended up making it with Carissa. So they took 2 from as developmental players at the time. And then, politics and stuff. I ended up getting rid of 1 player from Japan, and I would moved into the slot. So I didn't even start on the team at the beginning of the season. But I'm still practicing hard because I remember the coach calling practice, and I had all my teammates mad at me. They said, why is she, who never sets foot on the floor, working harder than everybody out here? And Ruthie remembers that too. And then they're like, really, D-Vig, really? You gotta show us off like that? Show us up like that? And I just would run, and I'd keep going. Nobody wanted to guard me. That's what I do. I just work hard. And I'd be like the Energizer Bunny. That's and you know me now, Bill, right? I just go workout after workout after workout after workout. And if I don't do that, I can't sleep at night. I gotta go. So
talk about that first year. Did you feel like you were gonna establish yourself? What were your thoughts?
Well, the funny thing is playing for the Monarchs that summer, it was a great summer job. I mean, who I'm playing basketball. I just love being there, playing against the Olympians, playing against the best of the best every day in practice. And my experience with that was it just, it prepared me. It's something I never experienced before. At Texas, you play the whole game. At high school, you play the whole game. And then you get there and you have to say, you know what? I might not even see the court tonight. I might see a few minutes tonight. How do I prepare myself for this? Right. And I did not change my mentality at all. I trained the same. I actually worked out with Albie and Connie more than the other players just because I didn't see as many minutes as Ruthie. And the funny thing is, I came back the next year and I went through all the training camp. And then the funny thing is Heidi Vanderveer was coaching, and she's one of my good friends to this day. So we joke around about it. But she called me into her office and she said, Ruthie's coming back. And then we got this other guard. So you're 100% better defensively and offensively, but we're going to have to let you go. So I was like, okay, way to start it with the positive, right? Like, you're 100% better. Well, I don't care about that. Like, I want to play. And so, but the funny thing is, because I played for that time, I was able to get an overseas job. And the funny thing with my first overseas job in Israel is my agent at the time said, we'll fly her out there. If you like her, you pay for the ticket, and then you give her a contract. If you don't like her, then I paid for the flight. No problem. Send her home. And my mentality going out there is, I'm not coming home. There's no way I'm coming home from my first year overseas. I'm not going to fail. I mean, every once in a while you fail. I just got cut from a team. So it's like a failure for an athlete. But it's just, I always had that drive and that persistence to keep going. The next opportunity, that wasn't meant for me. Next opportunity. And so I get to Israel, and the coach asked the other American at the time, I'm 23. She's like 32 at the time, I think. And I guess she just liked me. So he's like, what do you think? What do you think of the American? And she's like, I like her. And so I had a job. Okay, perfect. Got my first job overseas. And then it just spiraled from there. So the next couple of years I played in Turkey. And first year I came out and I had this, Turkey and Israel, and I played for Maccabi Renana, and we had this coach in the first game of the season. So I lived in Europe and then had to travel across on a ferry to go play in our gym in Asia. So it was kind of a 15-minute, not a drive, but a boat ride. And so we played the first game of the season. I remember we were playing the number 1 team, and we were the number 12 team because, I'm a rookie, number 12. We're the last place in the league. Like, they literally just got in Division I. And they had Cora Halede, Rhonda Mapp, which were big-time WNBA players at the time. And we actually, I said, you know what? We're going to win this game. They probably didn't know what I was saying, but we had Danique Graves at the time and myself, who Danique also played in the Monarchs. I actually have the Monarchs picture right here with Ruthie, Danique, everybody. I called her out one time. We were on a Zoom, and I put her face right there. She said, how you had to show my hair like that? So I said, look at me. Anyway, but we played that first game, and literally something came over me. But I said, everybody, we got to have faith. And I took everybody and I prayed with everybody before the game, and they didn't understand what I was talking about. Danique did, but prayed with everybody. We went out there, and it was like neck and neck. The whole game. And the last shot of the game, there's 3 seconds left. We're down by 3. Coach draws a play up. I'm supposed to run to the block. The other player's coming down, send a screen at the block. I'm supposed to come out and shoot the 3. Isn't that a great play, right?
Great play.
Great play. Great play, especially with pressure, full court, right? Like, you just run to the block, and then someone's going to come set you screen, and you just pop out. Okay, I can do that. Well, it didn't work, and the ball got fumbled. She tried to get it to me. So I grab it, going out of bounds, like literally at the corner. My 1 foot is in the court, and I'm like this at half court, and I shoot it. I'm like, this is going in. I knew it. So we tied the game, and then we went into overtime. We won by 16 in overtime. So every time someone tells me we're the number 1 team, them playing the number 12 team, never underestimate them, because there's people like us that are underdogs that we like to win. We're competitive. So, but that was fantastic. That was one of the best years overseas. Then I got the opportunity to go to Italy that next year. Next year, but Turkey. Next 6 years in Italy. 2007, I decided to retire. So.
Talk about Italy. Was Italy your favorite place?
Italy was, they all had different places, but Italy was definitely my favorite. I'm Italian, Viglione. I got the language. I got to eventually translate for all the Americans coming through. I actually, during that time, got my Italian passport. So I played as an Italian after the first year. And that made for other Americans. So
yes.
when I played in Skio, there was we played in the Euro Cup. So we had 2 Americans for the Euro Cup. We had 2 Americans for the Italian League, and we had me and then a Bosnian player. So we had 6 people speaking English and then 4 national team players for Italy. It was crazy. It was fun. It was fun. So talk about times where, you might see 20 minutes, you might see 35 minutes, you might see 5 minutes, just depending on the team. I mean, he could do that. He had a deep bench. He had a deep bench, and he spoke English the whole year. He spoke English in practice, and I tried to speak Italian to learn it, and he would just speak back to me in English. Everybody would. So I never learned it until I went to Sicily. When I went to Sicily my 3rd year, nobody spoke English, a different version of Italian. I said, I don't know what you guys are talking about. And so, but I eventually just put my head to it, and I learned Italian.
What was your best lesson that you learned over there? Because, I never had a chance to play abroad, and I always wish I would have. Mm-hmm. What did you enjoy the most about playing over there? The lifestyle, the food. What did you enjoy best?
I think the fact, honestly, I will be completely honest. When I went overseas, if you engage with them in their culture and you get to know them, I think at a personal level too, not just there to play ball and stay in your room all day. I think that was the fun part for me. Playing was fun, obviously. That's what I'm there for. But I think creating relationships was one of the most fun things over there, because you're learning the language, you're trying new foods, I love adapting. I just love new things and meeting new people. And so that's my personality. And so I love the culture. I love the culture in Turkey too. I love meeting new things. And I actually found Americans. I love exploring. I love seeing new things. And I played a year in La Spezia, which is in the Cinque Terre, which is near Florence and Pisa. And I just got to see the country. It was amazing. And I think if you engage with them, if you become friends and you actually care about your teammates, I think that's what kept getting me jobs. I mean, there were Americans that would come over there and just stay to themselves and be completely rude, right? Because it's all about them, and they would get sent home. I mean, they would fight with the coach. I mean, it was just all about them. Where's my money? Where's my, where's my money? Yes, you need to get paid. And it was hard for me because there were some times where they were late and my agent would be like, you got to sit out. You got to sit out. And I said, I can't sit out. What are you talking about? I got to play. But he said, and then once he would threaten to sit out, they'd pay the next day. So it had that kind of experience too. But I had to have his encouragement at that point, because I wasn't the player that wanted to do that. But my experience over there, I would say relationships, culture, and learning new things, new language.
Now, if you could, I want you to talk about 2 things. When you leave Europe, talk about that, and talk about how you're based in your faith and what you believe.
Okay, so the funny thing about me retiring at the time that I did is I actually called my pastor my last year in Italy, 2007, and I said, and this was in October, and I said, I'm done after this year. I just know it. And he said, well, you guys got bigger things for you. And I just felt it in my heart. It was the weirdest thing. I've always been next year. There's never not a next year. And it was funny because at that time when I retired, I had the best contract of my career. I had my agent from Italy calling me, okay, you have this contract with this team. This is silly. Like, why wouldn't you take this? And it was almost like God kind of changed my heart a little bit. And I wanted to do for others and build myself a life here. And I was tired of living out of a suitcase. I love playing, but it just wasn't there anymore. So I gave up my best contract of my career, the best salary of my career. All the things on paper look like I'm crazy for retiring. Even in January, I was like, well, maybe I should go over for half a year. But then I said, no. I said, it had been like 6 months. I don't know what to do with myself. I'm retired. I'm working out. I'm actually at that time started training because I was training. And even when I came home during the summertime too, high school kids, when I was still playing, and I was training these boys and they wanted me to coach its AAU team, 7th and 8th grade. And I said, great. And I loved it. I had a great time. And I was training and coaching AAU. And then, the funny thing, I got an email out of the blue from 24 Hour Fitness corporate, Jason Perkins. Randy Duck was the guy at corporate in San Ramon, played for Cal. And he basically just said, we want you to come to our corporate offices. We'd love to talk to you about being the area manager for Sacramento for Hoops 24. And I said, okay, all right, why not? And I'm going in my sweats because I've never had like an official interview. So I'm wearing my nice sweats. I'm thinking, this is good. This is cool. I'm interviewing for a basketball job and I'm going in and they have me go in the room and we sit down with everybody, not the CEO. It wasn't meeting the CEO that day. Sitting down with everybody and they say, okay, great to meet you. Talk basketball. Draw out a workout plan for us. Okay. Okay, here. Okay. This kid has the, okay. All right. So Randy comes back in and says, when are you taking the job? And I said, well, I don't know. Let me think about this. And then, so I go home and think about it, pray about it. And I ended up taking the job with them, being the area manager. And they said, we want you to come back and meet the CEO and wear your nice dress clothes, please. No sweats this time. So they kind of helped me out in that area too. My first official interview. I did really well, but I didn't dress really well. So I learned that. I used to be in sweats. But the funny thing is my salary the first year with 24 to build the business was more than my salary would have been overseas.
Wow.
That year. And it provided a gym for me that I still have today. It was amazing. I mean, God kind of like put that in my heart in October. This is your last year because he was setting me up for something bigger. My pastor was right. Bob Bellion is actually has been my pastor for a long time. He's actually the chaplain for the Kings now. But yeah, he was the one that said, God's got bigger things. And I listened, I said, you're right. So I felt in my heart, but yeah, my faith comes into play a lot because I really believe everything's orchestrated for a reason. And his spirit speaks to us, speaks to me, lives inside of us. And, all our job is to be obedient and listen. Sometimes when I try to do it my way, it never really works out. You keep pushing, nothing's happening. And you're like, okay, I surrender. Go ahead, Lord. And done deal. He makes things happen.
I was going to say a few things. I was going to say one, it seems like the Kings need a pastor. And I thought it was very interesting that you broke Cheryl Miller's record scoring. I mean, what did that mean to you? You know, she's considered like this legendary player. What were your thoughts at the time?
I think I just shot the ball a lot. You know, I think that's what I did. I just couldn't pass up a shot. But if I did, my coach would get on me. But at that moment that, you know,
she scored 105 points in one game. So it wasn't like she was passing a lot either.
Yeah, no, I get it. I know there was like that season. I think it was 1,301 season that surpassed her. It felt good. Of course. I mean, it's a boost of confidence. I mean, you're doing something that no one's done. But for me, it wasn't about the accolades. It really didn't mean, I mean, it meant a lot because look at it's Cheryl Miller, right? But it wasn't as important to me as winning and, you know, being a good teammate and just all the things. I mean, I like to shoot the ball. I probably shot way more than she did. She probably had a better percentage than me for sure. Because I shot a lot of threes, believe me. So all those, you know, it felt great, but it's never like, you know, the game that I had 11 threes and broke the record. It felt really good because that's what you work for, right? You work to make shots. And that was my job, to make shots. And so when you do your job, it makes you feel like you've worked at something and accomplished something. But it's never been, I tell kids all the time because they come up these days, these kids come up with goals like I'm going to score 25 points a game this season. I'm going to have, you know, 10 assists a game this season. Well, I mean, maybe you can have rebounding goals, but if you're going to say, hey, I need to hit 30 this game, then you're going to maybe take some bad shots. If you're saying I'm going to get 20 assists this game, maybe you're passing the ball when you shouldn't be. So just making the best basketball play is the best thing.
I know that's music to Bill's ears because he always advocates like team play and just focusing on the benefit of the team. And I'm sure there've been times like Bill where you subjugated your game for the good of a team, right? In your own ego. What was that like? You just wanted to win or?
Yeah, well, that's the goal of the game, is to win the game. But everybody has their role. I was a scorer in high school and college. Later on, I became a defender because that was best for the team. It's not an easy thing to sell a lot of times. Go from a primary scorer to a primary defender and not shoot the ball. Are you kidding? But as you get older, you got to figure that out. So hopefully you've got a smart coach and you've got some smart players to be able to work with that. Danielle, let me ask you, on that note, to bridge this gap, because you do a lot of great work individually with players. One of them is my grandson, and I appreciate that because you really helped his shot immensely. But what do you think that should happen with bridging this gap of individual work and this AAU stuff that goes on? These guys can play 50, 80, 100 games in a summer. What can people do to bridge that gap?
Well, I think, if you look at it, I was talking to somebody the other day. It's like, if I have 4 games in one day, it's like, okay, we lost this game. Oh, no problem. We'll win the next game, but back in the day, we only had one game. When we had one game, we were winning that game. That was our only opportunity. It's kind of like me shooting the ball, like thinking, oh, it's okay. I missed it. I can hit the next one. No, I'm hitting this one. So a little bit of the competitiveness, I think it's just because they just go, or they save their legs, or I need to do this. But, for me, I want to go out and play the game and give my all and do my all that game. Right. But then I got another game. So I got to conserve. And I think the kids they don't know any better sometimes. And I really think the skill is lost, the repetition. Like what your grandson did in that workout, he did a lot of one-hand reps. He did a lot of shot form and moved himself back. And then he went a little full speed into it. We stayed inside the 3 because he wasn't there yet. Right. And it's just not that it's not there. They want to go straight to the 3-point line. They don't want to do shot form. Not that they don't want to do it. I just don't know that they know how. So it's just teaching a player for the basics. You can't be proficient. You can't be elite if you're not proficient. If you don't start at the proficient level, you can't be elite. And it's hard to convince kids that way because they're watching the NBA, and the NBA is great. But then also they're saying, hey, my kid came the other day, hey, I can do this step back. I said, that's like 8 steps. You just took 8 steps without dribbling the ball. Like, how are you going to do that? I'm not saying that they said that's a travel. When you play in AAU in high school and college, it's a travel. It's okay. These guys are more elite. They can do that. But you right now need to get a basic jump shot. So I think it's loving the basics again. I mean, and repetition. Because some kids will be like, they'll come back the next week and they say, we're working on this again. And I said, oh, you can't work on this twice. It's only like, did you work on it all 6 days when you were gone the rest of the time when you weren't with me? You need to work on it every day. And that sparks a conversation when they say that. And so it's really good because they think they need a new thing every workout. Well, no, you don't. You need to master this thing and then we can move on to the next thing. So whatever that be.
Yeah, I think it's very fortunate that when I was younger, I played against older kids who could teach me something. And I had a good coach who could teach me something. Mm-hmm. But that art of teaching, I think it's sailed as far as footwork, as far as identification of what you're doing on the floor and why you're doing it. These kids now, and I give it to them, they are extraordinarily athletic. You got to give them that because they are. But just the basketball skills that they use is just very athletic and natural. And to be able to do what you did, to get to the gym, crank up a couple 100 shots every day, that's not going to happen. But they are going to play a lot of games. And I think to bridge that gap somehow to where they have that understanding, I think it's extraordinarily important. I think that's where you make your step up. That's where you make your step during the summer. Is that what you see?
Yeah, and I think it's good for, like I had a girl asking me today, like, should I use this or should I not use this or what have you? I said, you know what? I said, you're shorter, right? So I want you to go watch the best of the best in the WNBA that are your height. and the best of the best in college game that are your height, or the best freshmen in a college game. And I just want you to watch them play. I want you to watch them off the ball, on the ball. I want you to watch them defensively. And I think that, I used to do that when I'd watch players play. I mean, I didn't have a lot of opportunity growing up when I was small, but, growing up in high school, I used to watch people play. And, guys, go watch the NBA, go watch the college game, go watch elite high school players, right? And find some stuff that you can put into your game, even if you don't have a trainer, or even if you don't have a coach that's be able to teach the game. Because I taught myself, basically, until I met Paul. And Paul was huge for me. He basically taught me to shoot, and my high school coach, and, taught us to play together. And I think the other thing too is, and this just proves it. I was doing an overseas combine, so players could get jobs overseas, and I was coaching this team. So I had these players, and I said, okay, today we're gonna just put in an easy pick and roll offense, right? Like, pretty simple. And they did terrible. They did so terrible. The next day, I said, we're not gonna do any offense. All we're gonna do is pass the ball up the court. And we're not going to take more true drills. We're going to kick it up. We're going to go. Do you know we won every game? I mean,
wow.
So I think that, when you tell them pick and roll, we're going to just pick it. They're dribble. And then they don't look for their teammates. But when I said, okay, we're not dribbling, no pick, we're just throwing it up the court. If you can't get anybody open, come set a pick and roll. That was it. And they won every game. We won the championship. We lost every game the day before. So, I mean, that just goes to show you, it's just, you got to play together. I mean, look at the best teams in the college right now, right? I mean, I watched Iowa play, the Iowa boys, the guys, and they move the ball. They got some shooters on that team. They just knock it down. Same with Gonzaga. Oh, my goodness. And the girls, too, like Stanford and UConn. Stanford can hit the three. Stanford is all big. UConn's all big. They just move the ball. And that, I think that's a lost art. So if you could teach a high school team, to get the ball up the court and to move the ball and to play with their teammates and to reverse it and just, penetrate, whether it be a pass or a dribble with efficient ball handling, I mean, you win your games.
Let me ask you, now you do such a great job individually. Would you ever coach a team?
I've been offered. I've been offered a lot.
Yeah, I know you've been offered.
Don't
be smiling.
No, I get all excited, and then I say, and then I just, I pray about it. And it's like, it's not for me. And then the opportunity comes and goes, and I'm like, I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I didn't take it. So it's always kind of the right decision. The competitiveness, I would love that. The competitiveness of just working together of a group, but I just love the mentorship and the skill work. And even Jody Conrad, we were sitting around one day. It was a couple years ago, and I said, I really should maybe coach or something like that. And she said, no, keep doing what you're doing, because they come to college and they can't pivot, and they can't shoot, and they can't. You need to keep doing. You need to keep growing the game the way you love to. And I actually absolutely love to be on the court, and that was me as a player. So I get to be on the court, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours a day. And that's what I love. And so if I'm at a college program, you're limited with on the court time. If you coach, or you're assistant coach or head coach, you're not getting on there and sweating with the girls and stuff like that, obviously. So I enjoy exactly what I do right now. Sometimes I work too hard. I work too many hours, and then I need a break. That's when my husband comes in and says, honey, you're working too much. You need to step off the court. And that's in our vows, by the way. He said that in his vows, in his wedding vows. He said, and when she gets too tired and she won't stop working, I have to be the one to pull her off the court.
Hey, talk about this. What did this mean for you, getting inducted into the Sacramento Sports Hall of Fame?
Oh, wow. Well, it was, I think as I recall, we were voted in by all the fans, people voting. That's and, right. You got inducted too. And oh my gosh, that meant the world. Right. And it meant the world because so many people voted for me. I'm like, really? Wow. Really? Me? you don't, I mean, that was my response. Really? Me? TC Martin called me? Me? And he's like, yeah, you. And so I was like, I'm so honored. My goodness. I mean, to be considered. And then every year I go back, and you go back too. And I keep watching all these athletes being inducted. And I keep saying, gosh, I'm in this. This is crazy. I mean, look at what she's accomplished. Look at what he's accomplished. And it's all because of, kind of being humble and working hard and being competitive. And then everything else kind of follows. I mean, you love what you do. And then that kind of stuff comes along, right? Like, you never said, I'm going to make the Hall of Fame. I'm going to make the Sacramento Hall of Fame when you were growing up in Sacramento, right? Nobody says that. Well, maybe people do. I never said that, but it just kind of comes because of the way you live your life. And I think just the work that you put in. And so, does that feel like that for you too?
Well, definitely the work. I think that's the common bond, is everybody's had a journey where they worked extraordinarily hard. They had great people around them. Most of them were in fortunate situations to be able to be successful team-wise as well. Along with, guys like Pete Ranzani and these others, these boxers, just the work and time that they put in is just very, very similar. And I always thought that when I was in high school, there can't be anybody shooting the ball more than me, because if they did, they were out of their mind. So, and I'm sure you kind of felt the same way. You got to be crazy to be in this gym. So I really have a clear understanding of that, but it was well deserved, obviously, and everybody was really thrilled to be there. I'm sure your parents were.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't know if I should share this, but when you said something that made me think about this. When I was growing up and playing, I would think to myself, if I'm not outworking, someone else is outworking me, and someone else is working. And so that kind of motivated me too. Not that I wanted to be like Bill Cartwright, because I could never grow that tall, or not that I ever wanted to be like this person, but I always wanted to outwork people. And that was kind of my goal. I mean, my whole life, it's a good goal to have, because it's something you can do.
No, I think it's been great meeting you. I think the only other question I would have, I know we keep trying to seemingly wrap up, is obviously faith plays such a large role in your life. And did you grow up in an observant family? When did it really take over? In Texas or?
Yeah, I would say I always kind of went to church. I grew up in a Catholic church. And so I went to catechism, and I said my Our Fathers, and I did that. And I talked to the priest, and it was really odd to me, because not odd, the religion, right? But just I have to talk to a priest for my sins. It's just, I didn't have that connection with God. It was I had to go to catechism, and it was like school, right? Okay, you got to study about this. And it was like studying the Bible, right? That's it. It was like math. But it wasn't like math, because I enjoyed math way more even than reading. So I'm a math person. So when I got to college, I just remember being at FCA that night, and I was injured. People think in high school I played 3 years. In college I played 3 years. So it's my whole sophomore year. I was out with an injury. I had a bone spur that grew. I was ready for the first game of the season against Cal. And then I got a bone spur I got a stress fracture in the back of the same foot. So I was out the rest of the season. So that year was really a hard year for me, because something that was taken that was so valuable to me and that was my life, I didn't have anything to fill that void. So I couldn't work harder. I mean, I had to sit there and watch my team, and I wanted to support them, and I wanted to be there for them. And I just went to FCA my freshman year because it was a place of grace and love. And you don't always get that in athletics, right? Sometimes you do feel like you need to perform. And it was a place where I didn't need to feel like I needed to perform. And I remember that night he said, does anybody feel something, a void that you can't fill? And I was like, well, that's me. I don't know what this is, but that's me. And he said, you can ask Jesus in your heart right now, and he can fill that void. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was my heart was pounding. I was like, well, I'm doing it. Dang it. I'm standing up. And, you don't have to stand up or raise your hand or anything like that to accept Jesus. But that was my thing. And once I did it, I was like, I didn't know what I was doing. But the funny thing about the Spirit is when he came and lived inside me, he kind of goes, when you go through life, you kind of see his presence and you kind of see how he works and how he orchestrates things and how stuff that happened. And I have plenty of those stories. We could talk another hour. How stuff that happened proved to me that his Spirit was real, and that how he can communicate with people. My best friend, Amy, basically, long story short, was she was praying for me one night with her husband. She woke up in the middle of the night. She couldn't sleep. She just kept praying. She's like, Steve, we need to pray for her. I don't know why. And at that very moment that she was praying, I was getting in Turkey, stopped by the cops, thrown up against the cop car, and they thought I was a prostitute. I'm in sweats, by the way, baggy sweats. No, I'm not a prostitute, okay? I am in sweats. I'm a basketball player, American, and my dad always told me, you get stopped by the cops, you thrown in jail, you're never coming out. He would scare me with those tactics, and I was like, oh crap, my dad was right. Like, all I'm doing is walking home from the internet cafe, like, because we didn't have phones back then, right? And it was funny because the next morning I get an email from her, and I hadn't talked to her in a year. I didn't talk to her the whole time I was in Turkey, and she just said, Steven, I woke up, we need to pray for you, are you okay? And the funny thing is those, like, it was at the exact time that they were stopping us. They pushed the other American aside, put me against the cop car. And then all of a sudden, after about 3 minutes, they just got in their car and took off. And I'm like, wow, okay. So that's how that was the first time that he kind of really revealed himself. Like, he can speak through other people. And we had no contact for the whole year until she emailed me. So, and she remembers that to this day. It was like a crazy feeling inside her. She just, I need to pray.
Awesome.
So,
Well, Danielle, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We really, really enjoyed this time. Obviously, we got to get back together this summer. We're definitely due for a meal.
Yep, we do.
But I do.
We're not having the Hall of Fame this year, are we?
No, there's no Hall of Fame this year.
We're not doing it virtual, huh?
Yeah, so we're gonna have to reload on that. But thank you for your time.
Yep.
I've always really admired you and always enjoyed spending great time with you. So thank you very much. And
I just appreciate the fact that you're so simple in everything that you do, and that you're just easy to get along with. Easy. I'll just tell this last story about Bill. I was working out his grandson, and right before, his 2 high school boys, they were working out before, and they were trying to dunk the ball. And they were so impressed. They were trying to get the ball up there. And this guy, Bill Cartwright, he's like, I'm 7'9". What do you guys? I just stand with right here and put it in with my hand. I don't even have to jump, right? But they're so enthralled in getting these dunks, right? And remember, you called them over and you said, hey guys, can you go do a layup? And they did a layup, and you said, isn't that 2 points too? Because you just missed all those dunks, right? I remember that. That was so awesome. That stuck with them. But like the little things that you say to these kids, it can mean the world. So that same with me.
It's only 2 points.
Only 2 points, 2 points. 3 points is 3 points for me, right? So all is the same. But I appreciate getting on this and you guys having me on.